You sit on the toilet, don't you? Use that as your meditation.
Not my wife, not your wife, nor anybody listening to this podcast has eaten a shit sandwich.
Welcome to Recovery Unfiltered. I'm Larry. I'm an alcoholic.
I am Rob. I am also an alcoholic. We are not professionals. There are no letters after our names. We know very little. However, you will hear the word God and a four-letter word in the same sentence. You will also be offended. So if you are easily offended, just pass us by. This podcast is not for you.
Our opinions are just that. If you don't agree with what we're saying, that's okay. We're going to love you anyways. We are not in any way affiliated with AA.
So sit back, grab a beverage of your choice, and get ready.
Let's go. Hello, Rob.
I'm going to make sure that fucking mic's real close to my mouth because I don't want you to...
Don't be getting fussy with me.
Hey, before we start,
what?
I have to make an amends.
With who?
Now. To a woman that's going to hear this, hopefully.
Uh-oh. Your wife?
No.
Bonnie?
Susan.
Did you piss Bonnie off again?
Nope.
Hi, Susan.
So, last week, Susan says, hey, what day is free? I want to take you out to dinner for your 40th, because me and Susan got sober together. For your 14th, I said, Tuesdays, I got nothing. Tuesdays are open.
Oh, boy.
So, I'm driving here, and for some reason, Cool Hand Luke's kept coming in my head. I'm like, shit.
You were supposed to meet her there.
She's there.
Did you call her?
Yeah, I called her. So... So I called my wife and she goes, "Oh, we're supposed to go dinner." So
calendars.
Now I got to take
calendars, Rob.
How often have I let you down on this? I mean,
never, absolutely not, and I appreciate it.
This is like a rare moment when
I know you double booked.
Oh,
you double booked.
So next Tuesday I take her to dinner.
Now you got to pay.
Then I pay. Dude, I feel like an ass.
It happens. I mean, you know what? If anybody ever looked at my calendar, they would think I didn't have any time to sleep. I have to live on a calendar. I have to. That was fucking beautiful right there. That? Yeah. God damn it. I muted the mic, but I think that swallow came all the way over onto my mic.
Turn that fucker down. You're loud enough. Man.
So your birthday podcast got a bunch of reviews.
Did it?
Yeah. A lot of people were like, that's the best one we've heard in a long time. They're coming in through the iTunes ones. A lot of places you don't see.
Okay, I got you.
That's just the comments that in there. They're just saying that it was one of the funner ones they've seen in a long time. But what was fun is that we went from two pretty serious ones back to back to back.
Yeah.
To bam, we just went to having fun. So they thought it was a good.
This will be fun.
This one will be fun. So, well, we're gonna.
Okay, which one is this? 50?
This is 50. Yeah, this is 50. So we're gonna start with the youngest. We are starting with the youngest. Hello, Miss McKenna.
Hello.
That is my youngest. That's my baby girl.
That's the baby.
That's the baby.
So how old are you now?
I will be 27 on the 23rd. So it's coming.
Well, I actually taken her fiance down to L.A. for her birthday and leaving her home alone.
This has been a struggle. And honestly, I'm not the cleanest mouth, so everybody will probably hear the F word as well coming out of my mouth. But
you're my girl, baby.
Learn from the best.
If we haven't chased them away by now, so good.
I was actually supposed to go down on that trip with them, and I keep telling everybody, I'm like, my dad gave the employees two different options. They could either do it the week of the 18th, which was his birthday week, or the week of the 23rd, which was my birthday week, and he chose my fucking birthday week. So I was actually going to go down.
I'm a selfish.
Yeah, well, because I'm trying to save as much time for the wedding and the honeymoon, so I'm really not trying to take any time off right now. Right. So
self-centered, selfish son of a bitch.
Page 62.
Dick. God, he's had so many fucking birthdays now.
I say it. I say it all the time. I am a self-centered, all about me. All about. Just go back and listen to some podcasts. It's all about me.
You're sober.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to step back a little bit and let you do some interviewing.
I just want to know.
What do you want to know?
Okay, well, we're going to get right into it.
Go.
Jump. We love to jump.
So what I want to know is, because he wasn't noise, and we talked about the last part of his drinking. And when you were in high school, what was it like?
Gosh.
What was the family? Now, how much older is Miranda?
She's 5 years, 11 months.
Which is a bit. That's a minute.
Yeah, it's almost 6 years.
That's a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Quite a bit of difference. So, different friends, different circle of friends, different high school era, different grammar school era, just completely different group. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was life like?
Honestly, when I was in high school, even growing up before high school into middle school, I was starting to play travel ball, and me and Big Larber, we were thick thieves. We did everything together. It was my mom stayed at home with Miranda and did all of her cheer stuff, and all of her extracurricular activities, and he would go with me everywhere. We would travel for basketball, and that's when I started to get into showing. So he became a huge aspect in life with me. Showing
animals.
Yeah.
What'd you show?
I showed beef and dairy.
Okay.
So I did both, and then I got a wild hair up my ass senior year of high school, and I showed a turkey.
How'd that go?
Her name was Olga. She was literally the best thing ever. We took first in showmanship. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, honestly.
I mean, how do you train a turkey?
You don't.
She trained me.
We literally got to fair in July, and they were like, okay, well, which one's yours? I was like, I don't know. Like, her band was like 78 or something, I guess. And so I just picked up a random turkey, and we went to show. So
what happened to the turkey?
She became like turkey for Thanksgiving dinner, I'm sure. Yeah. So, but yeah, like I said, me and Big Larber, we were literally thick as thieves. So we traveled to jackpots together pretty much every weekend. He was hooking up a trailer and pulling with me. So we are honestly best friends. I could say to this day that we're still best friends. So, but pretty much normal. I mean, coming home every day, and, you know, he was working quite a bit, and he was actually working from home. It's so funny because we always tell everybody, like, my dad worked from home, and so I knew to manipulate him and be like, hey, I need tampons, but can you bring me lunch too? So we loved that he worked from home. So it was always nice.
Miranda did the same shit.
Yeah. So it was always nice having him close, and like having him just here too, and knowing that we can always, you know, call him if we needed him. So being able to rely on him when mom was like away from work was nice. So
you were just regular dad, drink a little bit?
I drank quite a bit when
What did you notice? I don't fucking...
Honestly, like when...
What? Then don't fucking ask.
Sorry. Honestly, like they would have friends over. Him coaching high school football. Oh, hi, Frank.
Then apparently my dog just come running up here.
Baby.
Him coaching high school football, everybody would come over. All the coaches, we kind of bebopped around from different houses. We would go to one coach's houses one weekend after a football game. We would go to our house. So that was always fun memories. Everybody else had kids that we kind of grew up and ran around with. And the coaches would come back after stressful games and have a couple cocktails, beers or whatever. And that was so normal. Yeah, it was very, very normal. And even into my high school career was the same thing. My dad coached at the high school from 2001 up until he took a year off until 2016 when I graduated. So he was there for 14
I was there
years.
all through Miranda's, all 4 years of Miranda's, and then all 4 years of hers. But I was there, I think 4 years or 5 years before Miranda even got into high school.
Yeah.
Coaching.
So like I said, I mean, 2001, the school opened, you were pretty much there.
I started in 03.
Yeah. So up until my senior year of high school, that was just normal. All the coaches used to come and bounce around from houses again. And I used to, my senior year, I would hang out with them for a little bit and then fall asleep and go to work the next morning. Like, it was just such a normal routine, and nothing was ever a red flag then. So.
When did you see a red flag?
Honestly, not until the last year of...
What? When everything was great.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it was.
Life was good.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. I mean, I was...
It wasn't. Now, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Would she be more apt to say, and I know she was the last one in the home, but to see the red flags later since you guys have a certain type of...
Yeah, I mean, I think, you're going to have to, she's going to have to answer these questions. I think the red flags started to come up, I would imagine, she may say the same thing, probably towards the end of my IPC years, right before I bought my trucking company and moved on past that.
Well, she graduated in 16, so that's not too far away.
No, it's about the same time.
Yeah.
What'd you see?
Honestly, I think I was so, I was in my early 20s, when shit started to kind of hit the fan. And how did
it hit the fan?
Like him progressing in his drinking, instead of seeing one case that he was buying per week, he was now buying two, just the progression of it. But like I said, I was so young and so in my 20s and focusing on pretty much myself and growing into this person that I wanted to become. I had just graduated beauty school, still trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do in life, and back and forth in relationships. So I really, unfortunately, and this sounds so shitty to say, I wasn't really focused on family at that point in my life.
It's not shitty. You were just being your girl.
Yeah,
that's being 20.
1,000%. Yeah. I was definitely just trying to find myself. So I wasn't home a lot. I used to stay with my ex at the time, we were always together. So like I said, I wasn't really here a lot. So I didn't see much. And so I really didn't start to pick up on signs up until the last year of his addiction. That's when, Patrick and I were living here, and there was some things that would just kind of throw us off a little bit.
Such as?
We knew that he would get up early. He was leaving the house before everybody else was pretty much even awake. And so when we would get home from work, he would be passed out on the couch. And, but I was like, well, fuck, he's just tired. Like, I would be tired too if I was getting up that early, driving an hour, working all freaking day, and then driving an hour home.
Was that drive to Los Banos?
Yeah. At that time.
Okay, what was the company that you bought with old boy that...
Yeah.
Is that after?
Before.
No, that was before.
This is before.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
The company was before that she's talking about.
Right, yeah.
Because the hiccup I want to get to, I think all the stress and that with buying the company, right? Everything, you're throwing all the eggs in that basket, then it not working out, kind of deal. Was that when it started going?
There was for me. I mean, for when I started feeling the depression really start to come in was after that.
You had
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was with the one company for almost 15 years, and I kind of topped out as far as what I could do. I couldn't really promote. I couldn't really go anywhere. So I was kind of topped out there. I wasn't going to do anything. So I was looking for other options and what to do. And when the trucking company that was presented to me, I jumped on it. And I thought it was going to be, I thought it was it, right? I mean, I threw it all in. And it just didn't work. And, a lot of it, I think, but my drinking was pretty heavy at the time. Okay. It was, and I made some very poor decisions with that purchase. There's some looking back on it now as a sober business person. There are a lot of red flags for me that I should have done differently. But then again, hindsight's 20/20 always, right? So, but when that didn't work and I realized that, the financial stress that I'd put the family in and the hole that I had dug, the depression went deeper, and I had a parachute to get out of it. And when I went to the parachute, it just wasn't what I wanted, and my depression got deeper. And then I got another deal with, as being the general manager, which was a title. It really more than anything else, and I think I've said that on here before.
You have?
And, the title was more than it was to me was everything. So, and I'd worked hard to deserve it. I really did. I mean, I was offered the position based off of, my knowledge and what I'd done. But at that time, I was so deep in my depression that the drinking subsided for a short period of time, right? Until I got in a routine of where I was at with that company, and it was just a period. Then it was just a slippery slope from there, right? It was just a slippery slope.
So you'd come home, see him passed out, thinking he's just tired.
Yeah.
Then when did that change? Because we're not talking not too long ago. Really.
Yeah. I mean, we just celebrated 3 years. So, yeah, it's still, not fresh, but still fresh at the same time. There's still a lot of memories that hold on to. But yeah, I would honestly just thought that he was tired. And so we were like, oh, okay, whatever. Not thinking much of it. And he would wake up from his nap, grab a tall can, hang out with us, eat dinner, go to sleep at 8:30.
If I ate dinner.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
So that was just like a normal routine.
How heavy was it this time?
Weight wise or drink wise?
Hey, weight wise.
When
did you go through that little 40-pound?
It was about the last 4 weeks.
Yeah. So no, we hadn't hit that point yet. So that was just like our new normal, and then I started to see a lot of red flags. Patrick would make comments to me about like, your dad's doing X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, oh no, like, I think I just didn't want to believe it. And I was just like, he doesn't have an issue. He doesn't have an issue. And then, my mom making it more pronounced that there was becoming a bigger issue. And, we look right here and we have a fridge sitting right here because this was Patrick and I's old room. And that fridge was purchased with a lock on it to hide all of our alcohol. And as soon as we were given that, and my mom sat down and said, like, look, we're going to have to figure this out because if, Big Lair leaves, we're all going to have to come together and figure this stuff out because my mom was in such a bad place at that moment.
If he goes where?
We had talked about removing him from the house.
Oh, I gotcha. So hold on. So this with the lock that we've got here for our water that we use for our water. And
this is the OG.
That was
no, I swear to God.
That was purchased for you.
It's for us, yeah. We
put your liquor in and lock it from him.
Yeah. But look at that dinky ass lock.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we're resourced.
Yeah. So
there was talk about removing him from the house.
From the situation, yeah.
You, Patrick, and it was McKenna's fiance, by the way.
Yes, yeah. So
and Katie.
Yeah. At that point, I think my mom had just exhausted every option. But again, that was conversations that would be held downstairs that Patrick and I did not see. So we genuinely did not know like what they were going through as a couple. They sheltered it very well from us, as you know, a married couple should. I don't think it was to the point where we needed to be involved just yet. But when my mom sat down and gave us, that, it became very real for me. But again, like I said, me and my dad are, he's my best friend. Like I just could not see it. Like my dad does not have a problem. Like he can snap out of it. And I think that's so normal. And I've talked to many people like, they'll get through it. Like they don't have an issue. So that's what my mentality was. And it was not till we were going somewhere and it was after Christmas and Patrick was actually working with you guys still. And so he was gifted a super nice bottle of whiskey and we actually hid it in our closet. It was like buried. Patrick hated it. It was like gross. He was not a fan of it anyways. And so we were getting ready and he was like, babe, like, I think somebody drank that whiskey. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, that whiskey is like completely gone. And I did not drink that.
So was the bottle gone or just bottle empty?
It wasn't empty. But it was like halfway through and he maybe had like one glass out of it. So I'm like, my dad would not come into our room and do that.
Get
like,
in the closet.
Yes.
Find some whiskey and drink half of it.
And drink half of it.
An alcoholic would not do that.
No. Like I was being
alcoholic would, but Larry wouldn't, by God.
Yes. And so I was just holding out that hope. And Pat was like, McKenna, I'm telling you, I did not drink this. So we were actually going to dinner with him. And I remember it was just, I was loading all my stuff up into the truck and I looked at my dad and he was sitting in the driver's seat and I said, did you go into our room and drink that whiskey? Clicked.
You knew he was lying.
I was like, oh yeah. It was fucking wild. Like I have never had that like tingling feeling of literally his eyes pierced my eyes and he lied to me. And I was like, holy shit. Like there is an issue. So fast forward a couple weeks, we had all gotten COVID together. It was a great time.
So this is 2020.
Yeah. Yeah. So, 21. My mom went to Disneyland. Me, my dad, and Pat. It was July, actually. So July of 21. We had all gotten COVID together. And my grandfather was actually in the hospital as well with COVID. He's the one who had the lung cancer. So he was kind of struggling a little bit. My dad was very worried, which granted, any kid should be. And he was just off his fucking rocker. And we had never seen him like this.
How so?
He was just like freaking out. He was pacing around the house. Like he had restless leg syndrome. Like he just like couldn't grasp like onto real life. Like he didn't feel good. None of us felt good. None of us had really good energy. He was worried about, my grandpa and what was going on with him. And nobody was really communicating with him, but they were trying to let him get better. And so, we had some B12 shots left over in our fridge, and this fucking guy, me and Patrick were sitting at the countertop eating soup, and he was like, your sister needs to come and give me this freaking B12 shot, and he was just being very impatient, and so he took this freaking needle and just shoved it into his arm, like, crazy. And me and Pat just looked at each other, and we were like, holy shit, like, this is not the Larber that we know. So, there was just, like, those instances and those red flags really became where we were like, oh my God. Like, okay.
Did anybody say anything to him? Like, you got a fucking problem.
Oh, my mom was about to drive home from Anaheim because we were blowing her up. Like, he's going mental, like batshit crazy. I was in bad shape. He had downed a bottle of wine too. I remember you telling us
Not that bottle of wine, right?
I don't remember. I mean,
you had said that day it had fucked you up because you had downed a bottle of
probably
wine.
Lied. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but we were just like, holy shit. Like, granted, COVID, whatever. He just was not in the right mindset for sure. So that's when we were just like, okay, there is a bigger issue here. And at that point, we were really sheltering. Like, while we were here, all of our friends used to come here. this was like the house that everybody came and hung out with. You know, my parents they love all of our friends, and all of Patrick's boys love my dad so much. And they literally talk about it all the time. We've been moved out for 2.5 years now, and they're like, we need to go see Larber. And I'm like, yeah, go. So, but everybody would just come and drink with Larber. Like, it was just fun, and, you know, the party house. And so we started to limit that a lot more because we were trying to respect my mom and her trying to shelter him from all of the alcohol, not knowing everything he had hidden and everything that he was doing outside of what we knew. So, you know, we were trying to take steps to help my mom rather than help my dad at that point, because there was no longer any more helping him. So, I mean, he made that decision. So, and at that point, I feel like we kind of disrespected it, and we tried to help as much as we could. But, I mean, he already had his own path.
Yeah.
So...
Wow. But really, if you think about it, it was fast.
Very.
I mean, social drinking, you know, then fun.
Yeah.
But then the break, when you talk about the depression, because I've listened to his story as we talk about this, the trucking company that he bought, lost, and then you wanted that title, which is something that can get some self-respect back in your own mind. And then burying everything.
Yeah,
until it learns to swim.
Yeah, and it just, you know, that period of time that she's talking about.
Now, does anything that she said, is that because you?
I remember all that.
Yeah, but there's going to be different. I'm sure.
No, I remember all that.
And then we talked to Katie. She's
because
there's always just like the Gospels.
There's some shit that we've all seen that somebody else hasn't either. You know, like Miranda didn't live here when we were going through the dark depths of the shit with him. You know. And that is no fault of her own. I mean, nobody's fault at all. You know, like, she had her family, she had her life, like, but she definitely was here and saw a lot of the characteristics of him being an alcoholic. And she was the first one to be like, look, you know, this is serious shit. You know, we need to figure this out. And we were just like, like, it'll be fine, you know, like, but she honestly was the one who pointed out and be like, there's something not right. So I have a lot of respect for her. I know that, you know, my mom fought, and she obviously had seen all the signs. And
did we try anything, besides you guys talking and trying to shield him and help Katie? Did you guys try anything? You know, like, hey, Dad, did you think, I mean,
he's so hard-headed.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. I mean, we had sat down, and I think that he said, like, okay, I'm going to stop. And so him stopping was him stop buying cases of beer. And then he would make it seem like, oh, okay, well, I'm only buying 3 tall cans a day. And
what you guys saw.
Plus the whiskey, plus, you know, X, Y, and Z that we had no clue about, but we had no clue. Mm-hmm. You know, him coming out of rehab and talking to, you know, some of our friends and saying like, oh yeah, like I was buying a pint of whiskey and putting it in my coffee, and then I would go to work and have a tall can and then do X, Y, and Z, and then on my way home. Yeah. Even me, I hadn't heard that yet. And I was like, how the fuck are you functioning?
We are miracles.
I would need my stomach pumped out. Like, that's crazy.
You know, but all that's progression, right? Over a period of time. Absolutely. I mean, I started drinking, you know, like I said, the gastric bypass in 2007 changed my dynamic of how I drank completely. Right. Completely.
And we've talked about that.
Right. Too. I mean, I went from drinking occasionally to drinking every day. Right. A couple, not like this. Right. So when we talk about it being a progressive disease, you know, I can go back to July 3rd, 2007 is when I got my gastric bypass. 6 months after that, you know, January, February is when I took my first drink of beer with a neighbor across the street. And it kind of just went from there. I realized it didn't bother me. My stomach was fine. Fuck it. I can drink beer now. And I'd start drinking with the neighbors, and, you know, it was just a social thing for such a very long time. You know, and in my industry, I mean, everywhere I go, it's, you know, it's bar. We'll meet at the bar. We'll meet at the bar. We'll meet at the bar, you know. And that's just the way life was. And the conferences I would go to and blah, blah, blah. It was just normal life. But, you know, in 2000, probably right around 17, 18, after I'd bought the company, when me and my partner was together, the drinking would escalated then for the beer, right? It still wasn't whiskey. I wasn't mixing the whiskey then. The whiskey didn't start until probably, I don't know, somewhere around 21, right around there, about 20. Yeah.
Said, like, right. July of 2021 is when.
Right. It was just before.
You can handle the beer, you just can't handle your whiskey.
It was just before COVID. I know that I was starting to put whiskey into my morning coffee because I couldn't. I just wanted something to settle the nerves, and I wasn't even drinking beer. It was just a little whiskey in the coffee on the way, and then it just escalated.
Just a little whiskey in the coffee.
I know.
On the way.
Just a little whiskey in the coffee.
See how we minimize it?
Yeah, it just, and looking back on it now, I can, looking back, I can see the escalation of how it got to where it got. But, when I was in that depths of hell that I was living in, the depression, I was fighting the depression more than I was fighting the alcohol. Does that make sense? I mean, I was trying to resolve my depression
with alcohol.
So I didn't really give a shit about the alcohol. I was concerned about my depression that I was so deep into, thinking that this alcohol was helping me cope with it, when in reality it was making it 5 times worse. Yeah.
So now, McKenna, once you realized, oh shit, Larber's got a fucking problem. What did you think of your father?
Honestly,
well, worried, I'm sure, but did you? Because most people, children, think their dad is Superman. That's
yes.
And when you see Superman's got cracks, what'd you think of your dad then?
Honestly, that was the first time that I ever saw my dad as an actual human being. Right. So, I see my dad as my dad, but I never saw him as the person who had struggles or the person who was a friend. And, I didn't see him that way until we realized that his addiction was so bad, and I saw him as a struggling man. That was the first time that it really rocked me. So
how'd you process that?
Honestly, it took me a while. I didn't really process it until probably when he got home.
From rehab?
Yeah. It was...
So you guys have been in recovery, the whole family really, and that's the way it is in recovery together.
Yeah,
in their own,
absolutely.
At their own pace, in their own way.
And every day is new. I mean, even 3 years later, every day is a new day. We're still learning how to cope with, being him being sober.
So what's the difference now?
Nothing. I mean, other than him not fucking having a drink. But I mean, you think back, and I'm especially now we're doing all of these big events, and we were with people this weekend, and they were all drinking, and I heard somebody say, oh yeah, I've been told not to offer your dad a drink. So that is different. Hearing people kind of treat him differently is more kind of upsetting to me.
How so? Why?
I don't know. I feel it's not normal for them, but it's normal for me. So it's to hear somebody say that, oh yeah, they told me not to offer your dad a drink. I'm well, fuck, offer him a drink. See what he says. I mean, good luck. I don't know why as a stigma, and I mean,
it's not as bad as it used to be, but there still is.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, being in this 3 years, I'm sure as a rookie, me not being around this aspect of our life and being around people who don't drink, I probably would have been the same way. Oh, you're an alcoholic, I'm not going to offer you a drink. But now that I've been around this for 3 years, going on 4, but it's so normal to me. So I'm you're in AA? Fuck yeah. That's awesome. My dad, he is, it's so rewarding to talk to people, because they always say, you don't know it could happen to you until it does. And it fucking happened to us. So it literally took our world up and shook us around and then put us back on. It was okay, figure it out.
Snow globe.
Yeah. So it's one of those magic 8 balls. Are you going to be fucked up today? You're yeah, yes or no.
Dude, we've got to buy one for FFS Studios.
Yeah.
They have them. They literally have them.
Outlook.
Right.
Not
yeah. Is it going to be a shitty day, or is it going to be a good day? So, and honestly, I think that's kind of how you have to take this, is just day by day. And that's how we did it. I mean, even the first day, he talks about when he called Pat, we weren't home. We were going to the races when everything went down, and he decided to finally go to rehab. We were going out and we were racing in Glen Helen. So, I got a phone call first, I believe. that day's honestly a blur for me. I believe it was from my dad first.
I think it was
me. My dad called me, and it was so random, and I could tell he was crying, and he said, "Hey babe, I may not see you when you get home. I'm going to rehab." And so that's pretty much all he said, and then he hung up. And so I was like,
bomb.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
What did you think? I mean, did you think
I had nothing. No, nothing. I think I was in such a complete shock because it wasn't talked about at all. Like, that word really
it was talked about like behind the scenes, but not
very much so. Like, it wasn't, we never sat down and said like, dad needs to go to rehab. You know, like Miranda had said like, hey, we probably need to figure something out. My mom had said like, hey, you know, he may not be in this house very much longer. He needs to figure shit out. Like, but it was never like, we're going to send him to rehab. You know, we were trying to make him take account for his actions before we were just like, okay, fuck it. Like, you know, this is what you need to do. Yeah. So, but he wasn't. He was being hard-headed. He was too deep into his addiction. That's okay. Like, we figured it out. So, I remember, I think I called my mom next, and I was like, dude, what the fuck is happening? Like, you know, here we are down in Anaheim, like driving up to Glen Helen or down to Glen Helen, and we weren't here to be in this chaos with everybody and be a part of the family and support each other. So, my sister called me. She kind of gave me the lowdown, and God bless my sister, because she literally was the rock through that whole situation. But she took that fucking bull by the horns and made moves and started to like figure shit out. And she got it done. And I remember her calling me and saying like, hey, we're waiting for Maynard to call us back. They think that they're going to have him a spot on Monday. Can you guys please be home? We're going to go. And so I was like, yeah, absolutely. He tried to call Pat, and Pat didn't answer. We've all heard that story. So, Pat honestly did not know what to say, and that's his story to tell as well.
We'll get that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he saw me hurting so bad as to like feeling like, fuck, like we failed. Like we couldn't support him to get him through this situation in his life. So he was trying to support me as best as he could, and I think he was so fucking pissed at my dad and just like, fuck, like I wish he could have figured it out. So I know that's, again, his story, and he'll be able to tell it. So we raced. We got that weekend done. We came straight home on Sunday, figured it out, and thank you. Monday, they weren't able to get us into Maynard's. So
hold on, see how she said that?
Yeah.
How'd she say it?
She said that Monday they weren't able to get us into Maynard's.
Get us.
All right.
That's family.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That, and I mean, honestly, from day one, like, he did the fucking footwork, but it took us all.
Yeah, baby.
Like, you know, us four, we call it the core four. Me, Miranda, Larry, and Katie, like, we are the core four. It took us four, plus our spouses, plus the grandbabies to get us to where we are at today. Because I think that without all of us, and if we walked away from him, he wouldn't be sitting here. So I give praise to everybody because we did it together as a family. So,
how'd we decide on Maynard's?
I think Miranda just started pulling strings, and
I'd put a driver through there before. I knew Maynard's because I ran a driver through there, and I told them, just call Maynard's. I want to go to Maynard's. I knew that's where I wanted to go. Yeah, I already made some inquiries up there once before. So it wasn't the first time. This was just my moment of clarity where I was like, I'm not going to be able to do this on my own. Yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Patrick, for not answering the phone that you didn't even know about.
Yeah.
God, he's really good at that. Sometimes he doesn't answer my fucking phone calls either.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
I know.
Having that.
It was that. Yeah, it was that. I mean, if you were ever looking for a sign, I mean, it wasn't a sign, and it was just me, because at that point I was like, I just, basically, for me, and I've always said this, that my earning people's respect is by far what drives me. Once I get somebody's respect, to lose it is dreadful for me. And I couldn't fathom that I'd lost
his respect in that, because I knew I'd already lost my wives. I knew I'd already lost my daughters. I knew Eric had kind of, which is Miranda's husband, Eric had kind of just said, whatever, it's, he's kind of lost out on me too. And, Pat was the last one that I would go out and, hang out in the garage with and at least be able to be social with. And when he didn't answer, it was just, fuck, that's it for me. I got to go. Right. It was just that last thing. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't realize we were going to go that deep, but.
Sorry.
No, it's
all right. It's all right.
I've been waiting for this for 50 fucking episodes.
I know.
Let me ask you a question, Larry. Because I'm a great listener.
Yep.
And I great remember, except I didn't remember my fucking appointment today at 5:30 to go to dinner. Anyway,
shit happens.
You've always said, that you don't know how people that would get to the depths that we did can just come into the rooms and do it without treatment.
Right.
Now try to imagine people that do that, but without this, without the support.
I don't.
But I had the same thing you did. That support
the family,
system. I mean that.
Yeah, I'm always impressed with people, especially single people that come in, people without kids, people that are, that
I think that's easier.
I think I'm impressed. The reason why I say I'm impressed is because if I didn't have anybody, I'd have just fucking drank till I was dead. I wasn't in no hurry to get sober, but at that point I hadn't lost anything. I hadn't lost my job. I hadn't lost my license. I hadn't gotten a DUI.
Just a self-respect of the respect.
I just lost the respect of what I pretty much ousted my entire family. I didn't have anything left under this roof that was supporting me. I mean, I was, like I said, a job was fine. I was doing great. I licensed and I hadn't done anything wrong in the eyes of employment. Right. But in the eyes of, people ask me, I just had this conversation with somebody the other day. They said, well, everything looked fine. I said, well, you didn't go home with me. Right. I mean,
you weren't in the truck with me.
Right.
So now, I'm not talking to you. She's much prettier. So now he takes off to rehab. Mm-hmm. So for 28 days, you don't have him. Mm-hmm. That's good, right? Mm-hmm. You're thinking he's getting better. What are you thinking as he's going through you're hoping what do you expect to come home? Or do you expect anything? Or you just...
No.
Let's just see what happens.
So honestly, I mean, I think it goes back to too, like when we were driving up to drop him off, we did the Core 4.
All 4 dropped him off?
Core 4, yeah. Core 4 went up. That was... I tell people all the time, I felt like I was dropping him off at jail. Like, it was such a weird feeling, but almost kind of like a joyous feeling at the same time. We knew hope,
some kind of hope.
Prayed, yeah, and kept our fingers, toes, anything crossed that he was going to come home and be a completely different friend, dad, spouse. Like, we just hoped. I'll never forget, we walked around a little bit and kind of saw they put us in this trailer, that little trailer that's kind of off to the side, and they came in, kind of explained on how it worked, went over payment and yada yada, and then they prayed with us, and literally, like, as we all sat there, we wept as a family, and it was the first time in a while that it felt like we were one again. And I'll never forget that feeling. And when we had to say goodbye to him, we were out in the parking lot, and he just held on to my sister and I and wept. And we stepped back, and he grabbed my mom and wept. Like a wept I've never seen. And I knew then that he was going to come home a different man. So, as much as it sounds so weird, that is such a freaking memory for me. Because we were saying goodbye to a Larry that we never wanted to see again. So, I'll forever hold on to that as one of my most favorite memories. And that's, again, weird. But
no, it's not. That's... I mean, that has impact. That's amazing. Do you remember who was praying with you?
It was Marty.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Marty.
Yeah.
I love Maynard's.
I'll never forget either, too. I mean, we watched him again. He was like walking into jail. Like, head held low, walking in, and we watched him walk in, and my sister drove us home, and oh man, Miranda's driving kind of scares me. So, but I'll never forget when we got in the car, us three, Miranda and I just held my mom and let her do her thing, and we knew that when we drove away, the next time we were going to be back there, it was going to be completely different. And unfortunately, I didn't go up to pick him up, and
so no one came in. Did they allow visitation?
They didn't.
No. So
see, when I was there, like every
yeah, they
Sunday,
still had that closed down.
You could come up every Sunday,
and that was the hardest thing too.
But maybe that was a good thing, though.
Oh,
I don't know.
I don't think that he would have had the outcome that he did if we were allowed to, because I know for a fact that if we took my mom up there, he would have said, "Break me out of this, bitch! Like, I'm going home." So with
my wife stayed away the first Sunday. The first Sunday I had a coworker come visit me, but my wife and the kids didn't come up the first Sunday. They came up the second Sunday.
Yeah.
And she says when she came up, that's when she realized that I had a problem because the swelling was gone. My eyes were white instead of yellow.
Yeah.
And the shine was gone.
Yeah.
So when he came home,
completely different person.
How so?
Crazy. The swelling. He was not swollen.
Swollen, yeah.
He was so swollen. And I didn't realize it until he came home. And even like looking at pictures, like before he went and kind of still when he came home, I was like, holy fuck, like he was really swollen. But I think my biggest worry was before he left, he had gotten the diagnosis of like his kidneys were barely functioning and like all of that shit. And he was like tasting metal, like everything that he was eating, like he couldn't eat because it all just tasted like shit to him. So we always say that when we go out to a food place and we don't like it, oh, it tastes like shit, because that's all he used to say all the time.
Towards the end, towards the end, it was just my everything was just creating acid. Just everything was just kicking
rejecting.
back. I had the liver was shutting down. It was just in a bad way, and I wasn't. Yeah, I couldn't eat. I lost, like I said, 45 pounds in the last 3 weeks. But I mean, it's funny that McKenna said I was bloated. I don't remember the bloated. I remember my pants falling off that I couldn't even fit in my pants.
Your face.
No, it's the face.
Probably my face.
Swelling.
Yeah.
You look like you got stung.
Yeah.
And you're swollen and shiny.
But even like your tummy, like it was rounded.
Right.
Like that's, and like even looking at you now,
Right.
like even when you came home from rehab, like you did not look like that. So
what was he like? Like the first couple of days, the first weeks, what was he like?
So
what was your guys' first when he got home from rehab? What was your guys' first conversation? What was your first interaction? What was that?
I don't even remember.
I don't either.
I remember.
That's funny.
Yeah. So while he was away, I'll kind of go back to that. We couldn't see him, so we would write him letters. He would write us, and then we would get phone calls. And I think I maybe got a couple phone calls out of that, which was fine. But he would call in and check on my mom. And then, we would get that. I knew exactly what that phone number was. It would pop up. I'm like, oh my God, it's my dad. Like it was so exciting.
From jail.
Yeah, exactly. But circling back too, I'll never forget walking in. And granted, I didn't know, this life of living with an alcoholic parent or an alcoholic person in your life. So I'll never forget, I had to take a couple days off of work when we were taking him in, because we didn't end up taking him in till that Wednesday.
No, it was Tuesday.
Was it Tuesday? Okay. So Tuesday. So I took Monday, Tuesday off, went back Wednesday. I'll never forget sitting in my boss's office because she pulled me up and she just wanted to make sure I was okay. I mean, she kind of knew what was going on, and I just kept apologizing. She was like, don't apologize. And I was like, no, I'm genuinely embarrassed. And she was like, why are you embarrassed? This is normal. And now that I look back on that and see how far he's come, that was such a selfish thing of me to say, because I was just thinking about me at the time. I'm embarrassed of what you think of me. And now I've grown up and realized that I don't give a shit about what people think about me. But she sat there and opened up and said, my dad's 6 years sober. I have walked your shoes. If you ever need anything, come and talk to me. And it's so crazy to me, especially now, because now posting your guys' podcast on my stories, I've had multiple people reach out to me and say, hey, my mom or my cousin or my boyfriend.
It's touched everybody.
Right.
Holy shit. Yeah.
And sometimes not in the
somewhere.
We don't, sometimes we don't, most of them, a lot of them, that don't share, they don't have this.
Right.
Yes.
They had to have the other story.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, now I'm proudly, I talk about it fuck yeah, my dad's sober. It's an awesome feeling. So now going back, but yeah, so we were we were writing him letters, whatever. The first time that he came home, or when he came home, my mom went up and got him. I believe Uncle Philip too.
It was a couple my brother and sister and Katie.
Yeah. Which that kind of core four back on that too. I mean, his siblings plus his wife, like that's huge.
It was like I said, I kind of expected my sister to be there, and because I had talked to
the first person that when you came out, my brother was your brother.
Yeah,
and you broke. Yeah, I could always get him.
Yeah.
That's good though, baby.
Yeah. So I remember getting a picture of him picking up Kane from school. And that's the day that he came home from camping. We call it his camping trip.
That's what you call Maynard's?
Yeah, his camping trip.
That's what they told my grandson.
The grandbabies. Yeah, the grandbabies thought that Papa was camping.
By himself?
Yeah.
Selfish Papa.
He has camping friends.
Yeah.
We have camping friends.
Yeah. I'm one of them.
Yes, absolutely. So Papa came home from his camping trip and he picked up Kane, and my mom sent all of the pictures and the videos, and I think that it was just like, holy shit. Like, and I'll never forget, I had texted Patrick on my way home, and I listened to worship music the whole way home. I had so much anxiety. I honestly felt like I was driving to my first job interview. Like, I didn't know what I was going to walk into. I didn't know who he was going to be. Like, I was genuinely like, I just didn't know. And so obviously he freaking wrapped me up in a big bear hug like normal, and I'm sure we cried, but I just kind of felt back, like we fell back into life. You know, like there was obviously some changes, like we didn't keep a lot of alcohol in the house, and that was just out of the respect for him. Me and Patrick collectively made that decision, and he used to get so mad at us, and he was just like, don't fucking alter your lives because I'm an alcoholic. Like, you didn't do that to yourselves.
Right. You're right.
So we were like, okay, I mean,
that was from the beginning.
Yeah,
from the very
right
beginning.
Off the bat, he was like, "Don't alter your life."
Then
like,
he takes
I
off to
made
meetings.
this. Yeah, that Monday, like, boom, gone, and just from there on out, like, he just took the bull by the horns and ran with it. And the first year, it probably didn't go by fast for you, but I feel like we turned that corner, and it was like, boom, 1 year sober, like. That was such an accomplishment. And actually, the first year that...
Did you see a big difference when he met the greatest sponsor in the world?
Jesus
somewhere around
man.
month 3. And life got great.
This show's about me, Rob.
Get him like
Shut
a
up.
gold fucking star so he can just keep like shining in. Like, you know, number 1.
Yeah.
So...
Aaron keeps me humble.
Yeah. So the first year that we celebrated, I actually wrote a letter to the Big Book.
I know.
Yeah.
Did we read that here?
We have not.
We read it somewhere, though.
We read it. I read it at a...
No, we read it to the Monday night group when we were at Brad's house.
Right. Yeah.
We all cried. That was amazing.
Yeah.
We got to get that. And Larry, you sent it into...
I sent it into the grapevine. I don't think it ever... God dang it. I wish I should have brought it out here and read it right now.
Yeah.
We'll read it. Give it. I get to read it, though.
Okay.
Yeah,
No, because you won't get through it. It was great, though.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, grab it.
Hold on.
Pause this thing. We got time.
Jeez, man.
Okay.
Got the cheese.
So we're going.
Where do we leave off at?
Well, we were talking about the letter, and we said let's read it.
So
So
said stop. You know why? Because we're going to.
I stopped it so we can find it. Now read it.
Yeah. Okay. So I was just telling Rob, I actually ended up starting this while you were in rehab.
Okay.
And just kind of worked on it here and there. And then when I knew that obviously your year was coming closer, I ended up finishing it and was able to give it to you on your 1 year anniversary. And I've made it a tradition. I actually owe you a balloon for this year, but as a tradition, I get a big star balloon and I put like 1 year down, 2 year down, 3 year down. So I need to get that for you a little bit late, but
Yeah, I'm gonna get back to drinking if you don't hurry up with that one.
But yeah, just trying to keep a tradition.
Right.
It's like a fucking birthday candle, you
Right.
know, like this
That's
is
just important
yes, very,
to me.
very important. So, I wrote a letter to the Big Book, and it says, "Dear Big Book, if you type your name into a Google search bar, The Big Book, it will give an overview of what your purpose is. It states Alcohol Anonymous, the story of how more than 100 men and women have recovered from alcoholism, is a 1939 basic text, and that's in bold and underlined, describing how to successfully recover from alcoholism. As I read that text, I can't help but refer back to how the words basic text, these two words seem so nonchalant to me. As I overthink it, I can't help but wonder if anyone else has chuckled at that bold statement Google has attached to you. The overview of what text lies within you should have a lot more credit than what Google has to say. Yes, you have helped hundreds and thousands of men and women around the world to recover from alcoholism, but you have also given hope back into broken families, parents back to their children, a child back to their parents, and a friend back to people who love them. There is so much more that you do that it goes unrecognized. April 12th, a day that will forever be etched into my family's minds. This day to me seems like you handpicked my family to practice and spread your word. It's like when people say God handpicked you. I think he did just that. He knew what our family needed at that moment in time and gave my father the strength to finally meet you. I'm sure it was a rocky meeting. There was probably some disbelief, doubt, and maybe some harsh words flown around. But just like any good and healthy relationship, you two worked it out. He poured his heart and trust into you for you to walk him through the hardest times in his life, and you did just that. Giving words of encouragement, forgiving statements, and powerful scriptures, you got him past his first 30 days. This wasn't a very expensive 30-day free trial. May 10th was a new start for my dad and for those who loved him. I will always remember driving home from work, crying and screaming worship music. There was this aching pit in my stomach that I couldn't tell if it was like driving to an interview with butterflies in my stomach or getting pulled over by a CHP for going 90 in a 35. It was just there, very present, and reminding me every second until I pulled into that driveway. The life of my dad, 2 sheets to the wind, living amongst us in the same exact house, became a faint memory. I was now walking into the future. A future where we had no plans, no end goal. We just knew we had work to do to make this house a home again, and you were right there, right next to the soft tan-colored lazy boy chair. You were right there every step of the way. Days passed, then weeks, and then months, and you were still there. You were now gaining a new persona, notes written on your pages for better understanding, post-it notes on what he felt was important. Hell, you even got a nice new cover. It was no ordinary book cover. It was a nice leather cover with a space to hold your currency and the Serenity Prayer. You may wonder what I mean by currency because that is not what the chips are referred to. I use this term because that's what I like to think of birthday coins as. It's like working for your first job and getting that first paycheck. The excitement of reaching that milestone in your life has all become so worth it when you go and cash that first check in. I like to think it is the same when your brothers and sisters get their birthday coins. They spend minutes, hours, days, weeks, and months to get to their next chapter, and they are awarded with their paycheck. A colored coin that represents their hard work and dedication for X amount of time. Just like a job, you work a little harder and you get promoted or you get your next trip. It's an accomplishment that is so rewarding to most. You are proud when you get that raise or a promotion, but by God, nothing is better than watching someone get their next currency at an AA meeting. The pride that overcomes your brothers and sisters as they stand up in front of their peers that have pushed and helped them along the way and say, I am so-and-so and I am an alcoholic, as they raise their month/year chip high in the air for all to see. That is an overwhelming emotion that takes a toll on an outsider like me. Hell, I don't even know half the men and women that sit in meetings along my father, but they will forever be family, and I am damn proud of them. Most kids growing up look at their dads as if they are superheroes, but as you grow up, you realize that superheroes are just fantasies, and that they are just like me or anyone else. Normal human beings who struggle with everyday life and can't revert time and do all the do-overs. Some struggle more than most, and that's okay. We're human. There is one thing in life that I wish I taught myself sooner is that I can't fix everything and everyone. Again, I am only human. It has been my biggest struggle throughout my teenage to adult years. I'm a fixture, my way or the highway. Sounds like Larry Shepard, huh? Mm-hmm. And we're going to get through whatever life has thrown our way. The trend carried into relationships, friendships, work, and etc. But in 2020, I found a broken person that I couldn't fix at that time. It was my turn to hit the highway, learn to live my life with a broken person so close to me but yet so far away mentally. I had no clue that this person would one day turn into my real life superhero, teaching me many lessons on how to let go and let God, to believe in myself and push me to reach goals and go further in life. He was a breath of fresh air and a light at the end of the tunnel for my family and I, all because of you. He's a 6'3", blonde hair, blue-eyed Okie from Waterford that I am so proud to call my father. Some say he even has a bionic hip, pretty creepy, but he now became Mr. Fix-It, the sober superhero who saved his own life and mended his family. Not many superheroes can say that they have saved themselves, so that's pretty badass to me. Now, with his cape of sobriety flying in the wind behind him, he worked through your steps and became the man we all know and loved again. He persevered through hardships and overcame many trials, but he did it. He proved to those who doubted his ability to stay strong, and showed the mind power he had over his disease. Like I said, a superhero. Obviously, you know him as well as I do, so I like to think that his cape is made out of milk dud boxes and kettle chip original bags. Very noisy and well-deserved. If anybody knows Big Larry, he loves Kettle One chips. So, Big Buck, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for coming into my father's life and welcoming him with your pages wide open. Determined to help a broken family become whole again, you pushed through his stubborn head. I'd say you left an outstanding impression on his first 30-day free trial, that he ended up becoming a lifetime member to your word. Encouraging my dad to have the strength to help spread your passages and open up the community of brothers and sisters that trust in you. You are now a part of yet another family that has devoted their lives to your word, to trust that you will keep my father around to see his grandbabies grow up and grow old with the love of his life. We owe it all to you for giving us our father, friend, son, and husband back. We will never be able to thank you enough. Here is your official welcome to the Shepherd family, your sister, McKenna May.
That's good. Man.
Yeah. Honestly, I haven't read it in so long, I forgot, too. So.
How'd that make you feel, seeing that again?
Proud.
You did it.
So proud.
And I'm open, and I got the big book open to the family afterward, just to pay one of my favorite pages. Look at this. What am I going to read? I got highlighted. See that?
It's all your poor book.
No, but a big book that's falling apart usually belongs to
somebody.
Well
loved.
It says, since the home has suffered more than anything else, it is well that a man exert himself there. He is not likely to get far in any direction if he fails to show unselfishness and love under his own roof. And that should take you to page 19, doesn't it? That reminds you of page 19, doesn't it?
No.
Yes, it does.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Top of page 19. We feel that elimination of drinking is but a beginning. A much more important demonstration of our principles lies before us in our respective homes, occupations, and affairs. Which means God didn't get us sober just to go to meetings every day.
You know, and I learned that. I learned that so early into the rehab. You know, people have heard me say that multiple times. You know, I don't encourage this, and I don't say it's a good thing, but I knew from the very, you did a meeting every day for 3 years.
Yes, I did.
Other people do 90 and 90. You know, I knew early on, after about 2 months of, hardcore meetings and meetings and meetings, I needed my wife and I needed my kids and I needed my family, right? I had to find the balance.
And that's different for everybody.
Right.
And you found yours.
Yeah. And I couldn't, God damn it. I couldn't do it every day, because it would have, we've heard
You do it every day.
I do.
Just differently.
I remember listening when Brandon was on here, 90 days, he decided to stay in rehab, and he created, a resentment to it.
Or 60. He got
or 60, 30, right. And he created a resentment. Well, I didn't, I got to a point where I didn't want to go to a meeting no more, right? I just didn't want to go. And I hated that. I didn't like that because when I sat down at the meetings, I loved them, but I also was missing Katie. I was missing, my family. I was missing that. And it's the reason why I got sober. I got sober to have a relationship with my wife, and my kids. And I needed that to bolster my sobriety. I needed that balance of family and AA. And now I have family, AA, and work because I'm able to balance all three and maintain a very happy and serene life. Sometimes I allow the balance to go over one way and I have to self-correct, and I say this, you and I talk about it all the time, Rob. I see you leaning one direction,
it's always the same fucking direction though. Always the same direction that I lean.
Right.
But I appreciate it. I got brothers to bring me back, Rob.
Right.
Do something for you. Go do something for your wife. Go do something for yourself.
Right.
Quit.
Yeah.
And I knew this podcast was going to be hard to hear, for me. It was hard I'm glad it was fucking great for you.
Hey, and by the way, Larry does not have a cold.
I know.
Have a flu. He's been over there crying the whole time. It's shit, but
you know why? It's hard for me to hear the pain that my family went through.
That you caused.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to hear that. And I get mad at myself for it. But in the same time, I know that that's not me. That's not me. That's not who I am. It is what it is. We talk about the living amends, and this is all a part of it, right? Is recognizing those pains that I cause and continually trying to strive and do better every day so that pain subsides in not just me, but in my family, right? That pain that I cause my wife, the pain that I cause my daughters, the pains that I cause.
Well, let me ask McKenna: Is the pain that he caused, which he did, is it worth it now? Seeing that the man that you got.
Oh, absolutely.
There you go.
And honestly, I think
that's what makes it worth it. Because we do something about it.
Right.
Yeah, I do think too. As he gets so emotional, as
I love
listening to hear this big book. Absolutely, but I think it's also him being very proud of us as his girls to see how far that we have come. And I know that 1,000%
all the time. He tells us that,
yeah. So I mean, obviously that's a little bit harder for him to speak up about, and he's not going to be the first to be like, I'm so proud of you guys. You guys.
Bullshit.
No,
Bullshit.
I mean, we fucking know. We know. We definitely know. We know.
I make sure and tell you guys how proud I am.
Absolutely. But I think that plays a lot into your emotions is you are so proud of us just as we're so proud of you. So, I mean, I think it's a two-way street here, obviously. So we've watched you work your ass off as you've seen us work our asses off to get to that mending place too.
For sure. Yeah, and it was a
it gets better as it goes on.
Yeah,
and that's and here's the thing, and I want to remind everybody that's listening, this was not obviously I wanted McKenna to be able to come on. Miranda's going to come on, and I think Katie's going to come on. Now my nose is just all stuffed up. And this is what we need people. No, maybe let's talk afterwards.
It's never too late.
And I think that, people need to hear this to understand that these things are real. This is how families heal. This is what families went through. This is, I'm using my family to hopefully help somebody else.
But this is healing. This is
healing. Once again, this is good for us, right? But we're using us to help many other people that I pray can mend from this, right? If somebody is going through watching,
just know that there's light. There can be light at the end of the tunnel.
There can. The couple things that we talked about yesterday. We were reading the wives in the big book, and I don't hate everything about that. The way it's that chapter, there's certain things in there that remind us, right?
There's some nuggets.
There's some nuggets in there that remind us of the pain that we caused the wives at home. When they in that chapter, when it's talking about the pains of the wives, that hits home. What doesn't hit home is when they try to give the alcoholic a pass in that book, right? Because that in that chapter. But in you know, when they're talking about the wives and they're talking about the children and they're talking about that, I think my biggest, once again, didn't lose my job, never lost my driver's license, I lost my family. Mm-hmm. And that was by far the worst thing that I could have lost. Right. And I think losing my job would have,
Mama would have been gone.
Yeah. I mean, shit would have went a lot differently, but
I don't know though, because I think that you were so far deep into your shit. I think if we ever had to cross that road, you were so just kind of like, yeah, fuck it. You know, like you at the end.
Oh, yeah,
I think that if you lost your job or if you got pulled over and got a DUI, you're just like, oh, fuck it. Like, we'll figure it out. Like, and then just move along. I don't think it would have been a reality check.
No, I was so far deep into my depression and my drinking. I really, you know, I was looking for a place to die, you know, and I was looking for it. Right. I was looking for a place to die. I was looking for a hole to go in. I was looking for some way to check out of reality. And that's what I was doing every day. And, you know, thank God.
Amen.
Every day, thank God.
Yeah.
That, you know, I got the awakening that I got before something drastic did happen.
Yeah.
Right? And I truly believe it wasn't far away. I truly believe it wasn't.
Guarantee it wasn't.
You know, and I truly believe it's still there.
Failing. Like, your body was already
my
failing.
body was failing, but I truly believe that something was about to fail. Looking back, looking on the speed of stuff starting to collapse around me, the little stuff, the big stuff wasn't far behind.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, I praise God that He woke me up and gave me my moment of clarity when I needed it. And, you know, and I say this, that I looked over the edge of that sidewalk at that moment, and I had to make a decision of, do I go back to my family or do I just keep on this path? Right. And thank God that He gave me the ability to turn around and look at my family and say, no, I choose my family. Right. Because I would have died. There is no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt I would have died.
And missed all this. One drink away.
Yeah.
You could have missed all this.
Now I get the privilege to walk McKenna down the aisle. You know, I got to walk Miranda down. I get to walk McKenna down the aisle. I get to watch my grandbabies. I get to, you know, once again, not about me. It's just, this is the healing that comes.
It's about the things that we get.
Yes.
It's about the blessings that we get from doing this work.
And that's what I wanted to make sure come back around to.
Tell them about
it's about SRAA. It's about what happened.
I get to do that one day.
Right.
Not anytime soon, Emily, but I will get to do that.
You know, it's just it's just the joy, you know, the joy that comes out of the pain, I guess is
baby. It comes out of the work. Because what do we think? Oh man, how am I going to have any more? How am I going to have fun sober? What am I going to, you know, that kind of thing. I've never had more fun in my life than the last 14 years of sobriety doing stuff. I mean, amazing times.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade him for anything.
I can honestly say that Larber is actually a lot funner sober than he is drunk.
There you go.
Dude, he's a funny guy. You know, like, yeah, he was funny when he was drunk, but he would say stupid shit, and we'd just like, where the fuck did that come from? But now he's just like, Tinker's asshole, but he makes good fucking jokes, and you're like, where the fuck did that come from? You're actually funny.
A little sarcastic. And I enjoy it, you know, but I was never, you know, I've never ever been that like giggly, laughy kind of guy. I'm a very serious individual. Unfortunately, that's how I roll.
We don't let him be serious. Brad doesn't let you be
He doesn't, but unfortunately I am, right? I mean, I think constantly about what I need to do next, right? I constantly think about that. And I pray about that, right? I pray about that because it's not what I want. I want to find a hobby. I want to do the things of joy. I don't want to continue to live like this at 55 years old in just a few days. I want to be able to this is what gives me joy. You know, what gives you, you know, if you ask somebody what gives you joy, working with another alcoholic. And that's what it does. That gives me joy, is working with another alcoholic. Doing this podcast gives me extreme joy, right?
You a purpose.
Reading the stuff about podcasts and knowing how I can reach out to people in a different way. And that's what gives me joy, right? My joy is so inward, right? That when McKenna says I'm fun and I'm sarcastic, and I love that, I thank you for that compliment. I don't see it. I think I'm just being a dick, quite honestly. But
that's what we say too.
It comes off funny, I guess.
Yeah, we love it.
I'm a little blunt.
But
bluntness.
You can take it as well as you give it.
Oh
That's
God, yes. Yeah, I'm not going to give it if I'm not willing to. If I'm not willing to receive it, I ain't going to give it. We were standing in line at Disneyland. This was so funny. We're standing in line at Disneyland. I had such a hard time because there was a girl in front of me, and she was probably 4'2", 4'3" at most. Well, Tammy was a giant to her.
Oh, damn.
And she wasn't a little person. She had full big person features. She wasn't
just short.
Just super, super short. And literally standing right behind us was a girl that was probably 6'2", probably close to the same age. I wanted so bad to go. First, the little girl, I wanted to go, did you check your measurements to make sure you're big enough for this ride? She was probably 26 or 27 years old. I wanted so bad to say that. And then I wanted those two to stand next to each other so I could take a picture. I wanted to take a picture so bad, I had to bite my tongue. But that's fun shit to me, man. I wanted it so bad, but, I had to bite my tongue. That shit's funny to me. Anyways, there's a little bit of my quirkiness, I guess. Anyways, McKenna, I appreciate you being honest and open. You are a joy to me and your mother. So is Miranda. I mean, we are so blessed, my wife and I, that the two daughters that we have just are amazing human beings, that they just know how to handle life.
That doesn't happen by accident.
On life's terms, and they take care of shit. One of my biggest concerns is I don't want my disease to flow downwards, right? So it happens, right? We deal with it all the time. We see people get excited when their kids come into the program and sit next to them. It's like,
because they know they're not dead.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't ever want my kids to even have to go down that road, because if they go down and it's not the alcohol I'm worried about, it's everything else that comes along with it. It's the depression. It's, and I worry about that, and I watch it, and I just,
but if it happens, I'm grateful that there is a place they can go.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that I keep very wide open to my kids and to my family. And quite honestly, I'm wide open to anybody that wants to talk about it, about the signs and the help, and I'm just going to wrap this up by saying, if you want to reach out to McKenna, if you're a daughter, your son, anything like that, you can come to Recovery Unfiltered Podcast at gmail.com. I will get you in contact with McKenna. And I mean, if your dad, your mother, your sister, anything is struggling, don't be afraid to reach out. There's ways that you can reach them to get them help, right? There is always that way. And,
if not, you plant a seed.
Yeah.
Something down the road.
I've given my dad's phone number out countless times. I didn't even ask him, honestly. So if you start getting random ass numbers,
just do it.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not even, like I said, it's so crazy to me, the people who have reached out and been like, after I post you guys on my story or something like that, and they're like, holy shit, like, this is awesome. Like, my so-and-so or this person that I know is like struggling, like, oh, here's Larber's number. Call him.
Right.
Like, reach out to him. Here's the podcast. Like
1 out of 10 calls, but
yeah,
and I've had them.
But the seed's been planted.
And the thing too is like, I had nobody really to talk to when we were walking this journey either. So if I could be that person for somebody, just as you are for other people as well, like that gives me a purpose in life, because I knew what that struggle felt like, and being hopeless and not really having anybody to turn to is a very, very lonely feeling.
Yes, it is.
I'm very lucky that we lived here at that time with my mom, and I'm sure she went through her emotions, but to be able to lean on somebody like her.
I didn't even think about that.
As well as
having them here with Katie, and Katie not be alone going through that.
Yeah.
She was, Katie
it was
had
literally a God thing.
Yeah.
It was very much
Katie had a lot of support from, and she'll talk about this. She had a lot of support from my cousin's wife and from her cousins that live in LA. She had a ton of support.
Oh my gosh, her phone was ding, 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 ding. Like,
yeah, she was well loved by a lot of people. Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't replace her husband, it doesn't. I would hope it doesn't, but I mean, she did. And she'll probably talk about that when she gets out here. So,
yeah.
Anyways, so recoveryunfilteredpodcast@gmail.com. McKenna, you want to, anything else?
No, I mean, this is amazing. Like I said, I've had so many people reach out to me and be like, this is freaking awesome. So I'm super proud of you guys. You guys have come a long way with this thing. So
number 50 right here,
awesome.
baby.
Yeah.
2 more. That's what's so amazing is, that Rob, like I said, I love you so much because, we were supposed to record this coming Sunday, but my wife, Katie, goes, it's Father's Day. Yeah. I'm like, okay. So I told you last night at the meeting, I'm like, dude, we got to record tomorrow. And he's like, all right, just tell me what time. And it's been.
And I forgot all about my prior fucking commitment. That's all right. I'll make it up to her.
So, and I appreciate you. I appreciate that. So anyways, we're coming up on our 1 year. This is number 50, baby. Come back.
Go sit on the toilet and meditate.
Thank you for joining us today.
We hope you learned something today that will help you.
If you did not, come back next week and we'll try again.
If you like what we heard, give us a 5-star review. If you don't like what you heard, kiss my... You can't say that, can you? Anyway, if you don't like what you heard, go ahead and tell us that too. We'll see what we can improve. We probably won't change nothing, but do it anyway.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Come back next week and hopefully something will be different and something will sink in. Take care.
This has been Recovery Unfiltered.